Quality. Quality is the most important factor to consider for promotion to higher tiers. All completed submitted files will be evaluated, but before we delve into that, it is important to know first what happens to your transcripts after you have submitted it. Now, once you've finished a particular assignment, the transcript immediately goes to QA stage. The QAs will be the primary evaluators of a transcript. They have the right to pass or fail a file. But of course, QAs are also human and mistakes and judgment may happen. If you feel that the transcript you submitted is a pass, but instead was failed, you may email documentreview@babbletype.com to explain your side. The lead document reviewer will be reviewing your complaint. If she or he finds your protest valid, then the decision will be reversed. However, if he or she finds that the QA's decision is correct, then obviously the initial result stands. Please remember that Babbletype has the right to pass or fail a file. The final decision should always come from us. Now, if the QA says that your file passed QA review, then your file gets proofread and then finally submitted to the client. If your file fails QA review, however, the transcript goes back to production for audio auditing. If you are a Tier 1 transcriptionist and the transcript you submitted passed QA review, then the 20 cents per audio minute rate will take effect. However, if the file failed QA review, then the 17 cent per audio minute rate will apply. So please see category rates as above or as discussed before. Now, you will always be given a chance to review the transcripts you submitted, whether it is a pass or a fail, and it is very, very important to review them. That's why you have to take note of all the file names of all the files you have transcribed, because after a day or two, you are going to copy the file names and paste it in your Google Documents search field so that you'll be able to know the corrections done by QA, or if the file failed, by the one who audio audited on that file. Now, on a weekly basis, the development team will be sending out an email of files that failed to all contractors. So you may be able to access them via this email so that you will be able to review these files regularly. So take note. Every time you receive this email, be active in opening it. Don't be afraid if your file failed. Remember, you are under training, and this is part of your learning process. So how does a QA evaluate your transcript? Each transcript is being evaluated by its content accuracy, editorial fitness, and format conformity. The biggest weight is being given to content accuracy. Pass or fail decision is based on this. When we say content accuracy, it means how the transcriptionist accurately captures the dictations in the audio file. We'd like to emphasize, though, that we are not looking for perfect accuracy. What we are looking for is fidelity to the actual content, which means how close you capture the thought being conveyed in a particular audio file. If your transcripts, however, are way off the actual dictation or the actual meaning of what is being conveyed by the speakers, then most likely that file will fail and therefore needs to be audio audited. The QA does not listen to the entire file. He or she will only do spot checks. For example, if you have submitted a 60-minute file, the QA only listens to a total of about 15 minutes of that audio, and she listens to it or he listens to it randomly. So if the content is accurate during those 15 minutes random audio check, then a passing mark is given. After that, the QA then proceeds to proofread the transcript. He or she corrects grammatical, spelling, punctuation, or sentence structure errors. This is the editorial step stage where the QA determines if the file is fit editorial-wise. The QA could no longer fail a file during this stage, but if there are a lot of editorial errors corrected, then the final score for that file will definitely be low. Therefore, it is important that the transcriptionist, or you, make sure that the final transcript he or she submits is grammatically correct or grammatically sound, based of course on the basic English rules. Finally, the QA also checks the format of the file you work on. Babbletype transcripts have different formats, so you will be trained on these different formats later. I'll be giving you a link on the Babbletype transcription style, and this will instruct you on how to proceed with the different formats on different Babbletype formats. Now, if major formatting errors are seen, the file may be given back to production for audio auditing. Therefore, it will still be considered a failed file, and you'll be given a lower rate for it. However, if only minor format errors are seen, the QA will be the one to fix this. However, your overall score will still be negatively affected if numerous minor format errors are observed. So while we're into this, let's discuss a little bit about the format of files. Now, Babbletype has two major file groups, the non-QV or standard files, and the QV or the non-standard files. The non-QV files, examples of these non-QV files are found in part 2 of your exam. If you remember the third part of the test 2, where you summarize the moderator, that's an example of a non-QV file. But if you take note of the files found on the editing stage on test 2, part 1 and part 2, those are QV files. Okay, so they are, if you notice, everything is transcribed. They are full verbatim files. Okay, now non-QV files have two major formats: cleanup verbatim and ES files. So in the exam, that was an ES file, an edited summarized file, wherein the moderator comments are being summarized while the respondent comments are being captured verbatim. Now, QV, however, follows the full verbatim part, wherein everything should be described. The ums, the us, everything. We'll get into more into the details of these formats later. But for now, I discussed this in order for you to know what major formatting errors are. For example, if you're assigned a file and you have to transcribe it using the ES format, but you fail to follow the instruction and instead transcribe it verbatim or clean up verbatim, then you are definitely committing a major format error, and this will automatically be failed. Same is true if the file should be transcribed as a clean up verbatim and you type it as an ES, then it's definitely a fail, and it will be sent back to production for audio auditing. So be careful of these major formatting errors. Now, minor formatting errors may be examples of this, such as if you are being asked to transcribe a cleanup verbatim file, but you fail to omit the ums and the us, let us say only a few of them, then that's a minor formatting error, and the QA can remove that during the proofreading stage. However, if there are lots of them, like they're found all throughout, then it will still be considered a major format error, and the file may be failed. So take note of this.